The TMNT brand is a global phenomena. It's arguably right up there with some of the most influential properties in pop culture today, and for a good reason. The immersive world of the Turtles makes for endless possibilities, so when it comes to a supporting cast, there's not too many that can rival it. Let's be brutally honest here, folks. The majority of franchise faves here are so iconic they never once needed to cross-pollinate for exposure, and when they did, it almost feels forced. A universe of one that doesn't need an Avengers assembled cast to be box office. They had all that and more within their own mutant population. With Retro Mutagen Ooze, the sky's the limit. Hell, there's so many renditions of the Turtles today, I can confidently say they're the real trailblazers. Where a franchise might eventually jump the shark, opting to go down a questionable career path, the Turtles just make it look cool. So with so many unique scenarios these Turtles consistently find themselves in, they could easily be dropped into just about any situation, or time period for that matter, and I have a hunch that, well, Konami knew that too. If you've joined me for my first 3 TMNT reviews, you know while looking at each one, I've loosely attempted, emphasis on loosely attempted, to piece together the fragments of a broken timeline. Now, although you could largely debate that each game tossed a story element in to coincide with whatever current marketing campaign was being pushed, there's still in fact a deliberate attempt at a story here, so I think it's only fitting I tackle it, regardless how convoluted things may seem. This is a time travel story, so you know how well those pan out. Let's be honest with ourselves for a moment here. Don't act like we aren't a generation of fans and theorists that love speculating on this kind of stuff. We're passionate about the things we play. Hell, there's a massive community dedicated to this within our own subculture, so all I can say here now is I'm gonna have fun with this one. This little beauty I hold in my hands is the 16-bit home port of Turtles in Time, which much like NES Turtles 2 Arcade, officially ties into our mainline canon, taking place directly after the events of the Manhattan Project. Think of these events momentarily as the Nintendo timeline. The big question that's up for debate here is how does Turtles 4 tie into the rest of the Nintendo timeline as currently constructed? Well, you might assume the entire concept of this is absurd, as the Super NES port is merely a retelling of the arcade original, right? Sure, except there's only one problem with that theory. As with NES TMNT II Arcade, there was a deliberate attempt at placing emphasis on a coherent story that ties directly into the events of the live-action movies. This would further be made apparent throughout the events of the Manhattan Project, occurring after Secret of the Ooze, where we would come face to face with a returning Transcended Super Shredder. Feel free to revisit those episodes if you need a quick story refresher. So why bring this up now? Well, look who just happens to be the main antagonist here in Turtles 4. Need further evidence? How about the fact that the story of Turtles 4 takes place exactly 1 year after the events of Turtles in Time Arcade? You're tripping, my guy. That could just be chalked up to the release year. Possibly, but again, why are we shown Shredder's continued pursuit of a perfected Super Shredder state? Clearly he exists in this timeline, but coincidentally, doesn't appear in the arcade game, potentially establishing 2 timelines. Wait, hit the brakes. Let's slow down for a moment. What exactly is this thing we're doing today? Is it a review? Well, yes, of course. Is it a theory? Well, that depends on how you view this. But most importantly, it's my spin on things here, and if you stick with me to the bitter end, not only will I prove this fitment works, but I might drop an even greater revelation which may open our eyes to the many strange occurrences that took place in our very first Turtles game. What we do know as of now is the events here in Turtles 4 plays out quite differently than those of Turtles in Time Arcade. This is due to the ramifications of Shredder tinkering with the very fabric of space and time, which not only justifies why each of these adventures must be reviewed separately, but explains why these specific events don't line up right away. That's all well and good, but what exactly led to the adventures of time-traveling turtles to begin with? I don't see a flux capacitor lying around anywhere unless Shredder decided to kidnap Doc Brown in April's absence. With his trollish personality, he does sort of give off Biff Tannen vibes. Eartha McFly, are you in there? Well, I hope so, because we gotta take a trip back to the past in order to save the future. Once again from Shredder, whom is up to his age-old antics, as we now dive into a time-traveling adventure with our 4 favorite brochachos. Our latest episode opens to an easy breezy Sunday afternoon where the Turtles find themselves kicking back, anticipating April's latest news report. I'm not sure about you guys, but I would assume by now they would have given up television completely. April's latest telecast opens to a beautiful day out on Liberty Island. Just as her latest report begins, things suddenly take a turn for the worst as the Foot and Company pop in, now alive and well, looking to stir up some more shenanigans. It appears Crang has made some pretty sick modifications to his BFA. swooping down into the heart of the city where he looks to put a submission hold on the Statue of Liberty. That's not all though. Moments later, Shredder proceeds to take over the airwaves, mocking the turtles in their absence. Surprisingly enough, here April isn't being held for ransom. Shredder's just like, F it, I'm just gonna be a straight up menace until the turtles are good and ready to throw down. Moving on with the show here, the turtles have now officially journeyed into the 4th generation of home consoles, and by doing so, we are now rewarded with a party wagon portion of new goodies to unpack. Right from the opening montage, it's pretty apparent this game brings it, with far more stylized versions of our Turtle Brigade, looking as if they're just itching to pop right out the television screen. This is easily the best representation of the 87 animated series, just oozing with personality. For the first time, I can confidently say I feel as if I'm playing through an episode of the show, and with a colorful cast of characters to come, I'd imagine more like a season. Now, comparing this to its arcade counterpart, I'd say this is still very well executed, with a high degree of polish and fluidity, giving us a true taste of the arcade for the very first time. For starters, what makes this experience a real game changer is the hand-to-hand combat. It's this game's X factor that puts the ninja in Ninja Turtles. Those weapons our turtles come off the department store shelves with are utilized flawlessly, executed upon through a showcase of combat. You initially just marvel at the way the turtles can now chain together a combination of attacks. It's a beat 'em up, but a fighter all in one. No, literally, it is. Taken to the Turtle Den, where you fine-tune your craft with a friendly back-and-forth sparring match that's secretly a prototype for a fantastic fighter. Each turtle has unique attributes, allowing you the opportunity to make adjustments on the fly to fit your own personal gaming preference. This can be studied through a corresponding chart, which allows for a greater visual understanding of their personal strengths and weaknesses. Taking this new knowledge in the battle will aid you in pulling off your own list of go-to combos. It's as simple as a few taps of the attack button to begin chaining together some killer combinations. Each turtle executes their offense through their own unique animation sequences, which ties their personalities back to this combat system, creating an organic presentation. Where combat in many beat-em-ups can become stale quite quickly, what makes the turtles' experience timeless is the way these personalities can come to life right before your eyes. It's super satisfying to flatten the foot as if you placed them in the pizza press with a repeated back and forth body slam, rendering them inoperable. It's also a great move to clear out enemies hovering in close proximity, awarding you some wiggle room to set up your next offensive strategy. You can also dash about, picking up speed to throw off a wave of oncoming enemies with a degree of uncertainty. You may want to take the head-on approach with a supercharged tackle, or go at it with a defensive playbook, sweeping their feet out from underneath them. It's also fun to just spam the jump button for some quick cartwheels, keeping your opponents guessing from the very start. It's now easier than ever to manage your aerial game, as varying degrees of elevation helps determine your offensive approach. If you gently tap the jump button, your turtle will motion for a somersault, which can quickly be transitioned into those signature jump kicks. On the flip side, by maintaining that airtime through the apex of your jump, allows our heroes to do a downward aerial strike that can be chained in succession to rain down some haymakers on some unsuspecting opponents. You're gonna get creative, discovering ways to chain together combos while jump kicking towards your foes, or even rise to the occasion with the perfect anti-air strike. There's so much to say here, and there's far more advanced strategies out there, especially when performing back attacks and reversals, but that's a tutorial better left in the hands of the pros. For now, I'm just gonna start out by tossing bitches and see where things lead us. There's levels to this, and the amount of variation here can debatably make this the best of the best when it comes to the classic Turtles experience. This becomes even more apparent the deeper you explore the instruction manual, as those sweet signature special moves have also been refined to 16-bit perfection. You notice right away while looking at your stats that Leo is the most grounded of the four, a well-balanced character with a solid 5-star rating across the board. He's a good entry-level turtle to get your feet wet, paired with his signature spin slash that I call the Baby Ruth, a mighty wind-up and let-her-rip sword slash that will send the opposition soaring right out the park. Donnie's the best bet for those that rely on precision to get them through, packing it in with his bow staff in a technical offense that will keep enemies at bay with his reach. He suffers from a lower defense and a lack of speed, so much so the dude is literally fat-shamed in the instruction manual, claiming he's been stuffing his face with pizza in his downtime. Well, I'm sure he will lose it here, because his high-flying antics will not only burn off excess calories, but will clear out enemy waves that tend to box in our heroes. Mikey, to no surprise, is our offensive powerhouse, excelling in strength and defensive capabilities, which for longtime Turtles fans shouldn't be shocking, as I always say, my guy here is the heart and soul of this team. His special technique is also a personal favorite of mine, the far-flung flying Fangula, which might sound offensive to some, but in Konami lingo translates to the flying nunchuck strike. Fun fact, this technique was learned in Mikey's college years during home ec, or should I say home ick. I do miss the kangaroo kick, but this is a nice upgrade, looking pretty sweet in motion. Now, onto the roughest and toughest to master, none other than our boy Raph, whom has a hell of a rushdown game. His speed is off the charts, and paired with this special technique, can throw any unexpected foot soldier off their game. He's a glass cannon that comes by his lower defense, so you need to think things through when setting up your offense. Oh, and by the way, he's got a ball buster of a special, the super bombastic stationary kick that will send opponents airborne with a skull-crushing finale. With enough practice in the dojo, I think we can safely make our way to the city. And what's that, you say? The time? Oh well, it looks to be just about 3 AM, right in time to head on over to the Big Apple, where it appears Crang is now partaking in some late-night festivities. As our latest episode opens up, the Foot appear to be back at it, with their typical juvenile behavior. The only problem this time around is that they didn't expect the Turtles to return home in God mode. It's quite apparent the moment you grip the controller. These aren't those 8-bit boys from many moons ago, now pulling off some serious combos with ease, like a well-seasoned KI player. The Foot have indeed been busy, reconstructing the Brooklyn Bridge to their master's liking. Well, keep that same energy, guys, because our Turtles hit back like they got a real vendetta against these dudes. As you get your first taste of 16-bit action, the stage comes to life, with that massive android body of Krang's now growing to Kong-sized levels, slowly making his way in the frame. He will bob and weave throughout, charging up his stunner shades for a kinetically charged shockwave across the bridge. It's here you get your first real feel of Turtle power, as the stage slowly evolves into a season opener, and the only thing that races through your mind is what could possibly come next. Now, if only I could climb inside that massive machine and deactivate this sucker from within. Hey, a guy can dream, right? This scene has so much going for it, and the moment you start to soak things in, you're bumped back into the old Mad Doctor himself, buzzing down into the heat of battle to test out his latest scientific research. Baxter must be going through a second mutation, because he's got a serious case of the Ronald McDonald's here, with that bright red goofy flow up top. Regardless, he will swoop down to unload a clip into our half-shelled heroes. As the Fly continues to fire away, he will eventually try out his latest gadget, a massive hand that projects out of his gun barrel, homing in to swat you down. How ironic, huh? You will soon begin filling out your movesets as you look to kick the old Fly from side to side till he meets a tragic demise. Our heroes now look to the main streets where they trek across familiar stomping grounds, more specifically the back alleys where the Foot follow in hot pursuit. We got a real slobber knocker on our hands here, as the Foot piles it on in gang warfare, hopping fences and popping out the shadows for an anything-goes street fight. It's here we get a real taste of close-range combat, walloping anything that comes in the frame to keep an advantage moving forward. It's the tiny little street props and segues that will get you riled up, finding clever ways to combo the Foot while dishing out a few sidewalk slams to give them a brand new perspective on things. You eventually get led down a dead end, where we discover a metallic imposter sent from the upper ranks to smear the Turtles' good names. Mechahead makes Robocop look like a relic around these parts, equipped with a revolving door of mechanical gadgets to put you on the seat of your shell. He will constantly take to the upper portion of the screen, scanning the perimeter with a streamline of shells. Continue to stay with him, clearing each wave of firepower till the heat of the battle is too much, short-circuiting this bootleg bag of bones as he overheats from within. With Mechahead terminated, we head below, sewer surfing the underground as you hack away at some goofy-footed Foot, while the waters beneath you become polluted with a red sea of explosives. This stage is cleverly masked as an excellent bonus round, rewarding you with a quick flurry of Pop Goes the Pizza Monster, swimming below these muddy waters, looking to feast on some freshwater turtle. Here you go into vintage turtle mode, launching a series of dropkicks from above to rack up a monster high score. Just when you think you unlocked a new achievement, you will be rewarded with a meet and greet from the young sewer legend who managed to score a sweet Playmates footski, now roaming the sewers in pursuit of the Turtles. There's only one king of the underground, as Rat King soon lets that footski rip. Launching an assortment of those red plastic missiles this playset came with which always seem to go missing under my couch for some reason. Getting back on track, he will eventually serve up a hearty helping of those pesky red landmines, so keep it steady and stay on your turtle toes. It's obvious who really runs these sewers as you hover past his line of fire, proceeding in with finesse as you smash away at his engine bay, quickly submerging the sweet new ride, which is now available at participating retailers near you. Securing the streets means we venture back into enemy lines, sneaking back into the Technodrome to retrieve the city's symbol of freedom. The Technodrome is the place where the party gets started, now chromed out in a fresh 16-bit pixelated paint job, decked out in the latest death devices that maintains its menacing image. The background soon takes new form as mousers pierce through the glass that houses their production, bursting onto the scene to chomp you to bits. As you journey forward, you get creative with your approach, finding fresh new ways to hand-deliver those pizza-powered victories. As you look for a way into the control room, you're stopped dead in your tracks by Toka and Razar, looking for a 2v2 rematch. Unfortunately, you don't have any num-nums to shrink these two back down to size, but with a bit of coordination with your partner, you can conjure up a formula to best these two back into the pecking order as you continue your pursuit of the old Shredhead. This new Technodrome is fully loaded right off the lot, with a badass elevator ride up to the control room. As you continue your ascent, things quickly turn into a gauntlet of enemy encounters opening up at every floor. Standing show to show with your partner, you quickly realize this adventure is only heating up, and you've already gotten a full serving of fan service. Reaching the control room means it's time to test out your pitching arm, hoisting an endless wave of foot soldiers up and overhead for a fastball down the middle of old Shredder's hardtop. You will scout the room, keeping an eye on those creeper fingers he's got going on as you steadily fire back at him with the latest batch of not so finely tuned foot soldiers. Shredder will eventually tire of these games, opening a warp zone that sends our turtles back in time where the real journey soon begins across the vast reaches of space. Our first stop finds us traveling back to the land before time, teleporting down just in time to witness a stampede breakout, welcoming in the action. It appears Shredder is making damn sure you don't survive this journey, sending his own soldiers back in time with you to see things through to the very end. The foot right into battle in fashion, parachuting down with the assistance of some well-trained pterodactyl. I love the entirety of the time-traveling element here, allowing the developers to think outside the box when it comes to stage design. As our heroes travel across each time period, they cleverly parody them through a colorful cast of characters and set pieces that allows for an immersive experience to unfold before you, taking our turtles and throwing them into a brand new world. The turtles must now adopt on the fly, relying on their smooth moves to outwit the foot. The greatest gift we could have gotten from Turtles 4 would have to be Slash himself, and you can't tell me this guy here wouldn't fit into just about any time period throughout the entirety of this game. Speaking of time periods, each stop throughout them raises the stakes, unfolding to brand new challenges for our heroes to overcome. If you're not careful, you may wind up walking the plank or potentially eating one, as you find yourself on board a pirate ship on a one-way trip across the Caribbean, steered by two captains that clearly don't have their shit together. It's moments like this that separates Turtles in Time from the rest of the pack, as its legacy is one that's ingrained in our culture due to the excellent episodic storytelling of each stage, combined with the many hilarious scenarios that our favorite characters find themselves in. Whoever decided to parade poor Bebop and Rocksteady around in some fancy pirate cosplay deserves a raise. No wonder these two constantly bicker back and forth so much. Each of these stages piqued my interest as I journeyed across each of these cleverly decorated time periods. Each paid tribute through an assortment of scenarios that the Foot Clan conjured up. The Wild Wild West instantly puts me in my Sunset Riders feels, so it's no surprise this theme would fit so perfectly here, only now you're accompanied by a ragtag group of mutant outlaws. This rendition of Leatherhead is hands down the most memorable, towering over our turtles like a real Killer Croc. He's armed to take out his bounty with a swift flick from his blades, using that large frame of his to overpower the turtles. Each stage has their own unique gimmicks about them, which makes them stand out. Although technically another bonus stage, Neo Knight Rider switches up the gameplay, allowing you to partake in some clever new play features. The stage also just has this whimsical feel to it that is almost hypnotic as you travel across the many futuristic superhighways. That is, until you run into Super Crang, whom looks to stop our hike back home. There's very minor discrepancies in terms of graphical shortcomings here compared to the arcade. Most noticeably for me is the animation frames, However, these nuances aren't easily detected by the naked eye, and where I believe it's made up for is in the Super Nintendo's powerful Mode 7 effects, allowing for a stage like Neo Knight Riders to really come to life. With Krang's android body defeated, he sends the turtle spiraling into the future where no turtle has gone before. Starbase is Krang's own personal floating Technodrome, the space station of the future, here in the year 2100 AD, where Krang's genius intellect has allowed for advanced breakthroughs in the field of robotics. A space station covered in instant transmission pods that beams down the cavalry. The floors are lined with chemical gases that freeze our heroes on contact. There's these giant space orbs that appear to have a mind of their own, while the rock soldiers have been gifted new tech that pack some real heat. As you reach the center of the space station, Crang teleports in with his latest contraption, hovering around the room while raining down an assortment of robopests. He will continue to troll you with his capture device, finding you sipping on some bubbly until you sober up, slashing away till you're freed up to wail away at his space cruiser. With enough luck, you will manage to hack away here long enough to witness Crang in a panic, looking for an emergency evacuation switch while Shredder looks on in pure disgust as the station erupts. With Krang's space station now in shambles, a portal opens with the coordinates set to present day, sending our heroes back to 1992, where your 8-year-old self once again comes face to face with a perfected Super Shredder, whom now looks to dine on turtle soup. This battle is in large part an endurance round, anticipating Shredder's attacks when he charges up his ki blasts. These blasts can easily one-shot you, but they also leave him temporarily vulnerable to plan your advance. He's lightning quick on his feet and comes equipped with those signature Manhattan Project maneuvers, only heightened here to a Street Fighter II Turbo degree. Continue to monitor your surroundings, staying in close range, anticipating his next attack. As the battle wages on, memories come back to you as you get a glimpse into the past where you often dug deep within yourself to overcome these odds many times before. Trust your instincts here as you master your techniques, chipping away at Super Shredder's health bit by bit, till moments later you arrive in the future where your age-old rival has met his match, spiraling over the edge of the Technodrome where he meets a fatal demise. With Shredder laid to rest, the turtles take to the skies in the Turtle Blimp, scooping up Lady Liberty for a special delivery, arriving home where she is placed back on her rightful throne, positioned proudly atop the city as a symbol of freedom and courage as we now close out what would be known over the vast reaches of the galaxy as our hero's greatest journey. TMNT IV Turtles in Time is widely considered to be the franchise pinnacle. It's a culmination of tiny victories awarded in the face of adversity, harkening back to Konami's earliest works, where development was once restricted by limited materials to go off of. This ultimately led to taking larger risks, which in hindsight paid off in the long run. For the very first time, Konami was playing with a full deck of cards, making some groundbreaking discoveries with the latest hardware breakthroughs, bringing out the very best in our half-shelled heroes. Each of our green machines executed down the stretch with newly refined play mechanics. Konami not only brought out the Ninja in Ninja Turtles, they captured our heroes' essence in a way that expressed their playful nature, something we would often see portrayed throughout the animated series. With that said, Turtles 4 now comes to a close, yet I can't help but to still question a few things. I mean, why go out of the way to alter the events of these games? Yes, we got some extra characters and stages, but it's just the release year and the whole Super Shredder thing that I can't get past. I need to really just put it to rest. But let me just take one last look again at the whole Turtles arcade thing before I call it quits. Okay, so these are the events from 1991 where we fight base form Shredder. He's just not in his super form here. What's bizarre though is just why then? Let's hypothetically say we are back in 1992 for in-game story's sake. There's no way the events of both games occurred 1 year apart, right? This is a time-traveling story, so these two games wouldn't necessarily be a year apart, but more so, two separate timelines that occurred when Shredder went back in time, creating a break in space, forming two moments in time where the Turtles return home in 1991 to face Shredder and in 1992 to face Super Shredder. So if this is true and these two games are in fact taking place in two different timelines, again why? Wait, hold up a damn minute. First and foremost, everything I've seen in the manual up until this point specifies why each one of these games are numbered. Again, Super Shredder's appearance here in 4 accurately predicts this after the events of the Manhattan Project. So what am I trying to tell myself then? Well, what about Turtles 1 then? did it just magically take place? I mean, what a shit show that game was. Why would anyone want to travel to that universe? Travel. Son of a bitch. I've heard different names for this thing, but I remember it was developed after the events of Turtles 2 Arcade to travel to different universes where Shredder acquired the services of Tora and Shogun. In the Mirage series, there is such a device too, only... Wait, still, Shredder isn't smart enough to build something as grandiose as the translocation matrix device. He gets all his latest and greatest tech from Crang, the real brains of the show. Brains. Utroms. Crang did work on this device with Shredder, but did the blueprint come from his world, now redesigned to allow a human like Shredder to travel the universe and eventually time travel as well? Funny thing too is, Crang is now stuck in the future. What's stopping Shredder from just up and leaving with the device, for good? Like, why not take Bebop and Rocksteady with him to another universe? No. There's no way. That's not Super Shredder at the end of 1. Wait a minute. The lightning? The larger stature? But the Utroms, where are the Utroms? Potentially massacred by Super Shredder? How? With what? Wait, could that gun he wields have been altered with the help of Crang? Shredder would also have access to this realm, as this was where Krang's species originated from. Now in a world where he rules alone, stepping through to a new realm with Bebop and Rocksteady at his side, a world where the only turtles that could even step to a threat of his caliber would be none other than the original Core 4. This right here, this is how our story truly ends, with Splinter getting the send-off he always deserved. This isn't the Nintendo timeline, this is the Ultra timeline, and as we give our original heroes the perfect send-off, we got a whole nother dilemma on our hands in the original arcade timeline, as Shredder still exists in 1991, and with that, where does that leave the placement of the Hyperstone heist? Well, I'll have the answers to those and more as we move ahead, so hop on board as we now journey into the future once more for the one and only TMNT The Hyperstone Heist. See you there, gang.